Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Nerd Mode On, and today is Wednesday, so we have yet again another episode of Would You Rather. This is a video series where I'll be going over approximately 5 questions and determining which one is less likely to be invasive. So with the rules and guidelines reviewed, let's start off the episode. So of course, coming in at our first Would You Rather question, I have, would you rather not have a shower for a year and feel really greasy and gross, or be covered in mud and have it dry on your skin for a year? Now, of course, I'd rather have mud kind of pasted all over me and then, of course, have it dry, because I feel like that would be the better of two options. Now, of course, not being able to take a shower would be horrific, considering that that would not allow you to really do a whole lot without receiving certain looks and stuff like that, and overall, I'm sure it would cause a lot more of a problem. And you guys know, if you miss one day of even taking a shower or a bath and without washing your hair by itself, you can kind of feel that grease. And could you imagine, weeks into that, months into that, that would just be stacking up on each other, and you brush your hand against your hair and you would pretty much just come back with a handful of grease, and that would just be pretty horrifically disgusting by itself. So I feel like just having mud kind of on you would probably be the better option, but of course, once that year is up, you're going to have some weird looking skin, I can guarantee that much. Now, of course, coming in at our second question, I have, would you rather be horribly and hopelessly depressed or have inescapable, overwhelming anxiety? Now, of course, I feel like going with inescapable, overwhelming anxiety would still be pretty bad by itself, but I feel like it wouldn't be as bad as being constantly depressed, considering that I think we've all been there. Everybody's been maybe in a downtime, you've been in a slope, and it just hasn't been the best that it probably could have been. And during those periods, you find yourself with a loss of motivation, probably sleeping a lot more than you would probably like to, and by itself, you don't seem to enjoy what the world has to offer. And I realize that the world has a lot of limitations depending on what age you are and where you're at in life, financially, and everything else that comes along with what we desire. But when it comes down to the main gist of it, I feel like constantly being depressed and for a very long period of time, you would really get to the dark side of what your mental state is, and you would be looking at life in a different aspect, and by that self, you've almost died during that period, considering that you're not enjoying what the world has to offer, even with the limitations that it currently comes with. So I feel like going with something that's a little less extreme and a little less, overwhelming at times can definitely be a better option when it comes down to it. Coming in at our third question, I have, would you rather spend a year alone in a deep sea submarine or spend a year alone in a space station? Now, of course, I'm going to go along with the space station theme, considering that you would have a lot more to view. You'd be able to connect a little bit more than you would if you decided to go into a deep sea submarine by itself. And the deep sea is definitely something to be happy about. It's definitely enjoyable. It definitely offers a whole lot when it comes down to the main gist of it, but a lot of the times you're really not looking at a whole lot. The light isn't always enabled. You're not always viewing everything that the sea has to offer in its true beauty. And with that said, that's just not something that I think I would really enjoy. Now, of course, outer space is eventually going to kind of darken. You're not going to be able to see everything as pristine as you probably could, but by and large, I feel like you'd still be able to get the main gist of it and still be able to kind of view the world and how small and minuscule we are when it comes down to the main gist of it. But in our own world, we are the most large independent thing that we currently occupy. So of course, coming in at our fourth question, I have, would you rather travel the world confined to a wheelchair or spend your whole life in the same 200-mile radius? Now, for me personally, I'm going to go with spend my whole life in the same 200-mile radius, considering that I really enjoy being mobile the way I currently am, as well as I enjoy the things that the world has to offer by itself. Being able to be within 200 miles of everything I like really isn't that bad. I mean, I can definitely look around my city by itself and realize that there's still a lot to offer, there's still a lot that I can do, and there's still plentiful work when it comes down to the main gist of it. Now, of course, where I live isn't really the things that I aspire to be when I become a graduate after college and stuff like that, so that would kind of be hampered a little bit, but by itself, I feel like I could still combine with the community. There's still many ways to make revenue, even though it's not the traditional route, and in many cases, you can probably become an independent contractor by itself, or maybe even start up your own business. So there's still a lot of opportunity to be made. It's just maybe a little bit more strategic about how you go about it. It's not going to be as black and white paper as the sheep of the community would like to tell you, but by itself, being able to be creative and be able to jump in there with limitations by itself would probably lead you to be a lot more successful, or at least enjoy the little things that the world has to offer by itself. And finally, coming in at our final question, I have, would you rather have the ability to teleport or be able to time travel? And I feel like the easy answer, or the cop-out answer, is always time travel, which is the option I'm going to go with. If I could time travel, there'd be a lot of things that I would probably adjust or fixate upon when it comes down to the main gist of it. And I feel like overall that would probably change how things are going now, which could be for better or for worse depending on how you want to view it. But I feel like time travel would be the easy option, and considering that there's so many things that you could take full advantage of, like the lottery, you could pretty much be the most successful person in the entire world, which would be pretty nice. I mean, having the ability to constantly obtain items that you've always wished and or desired when it comes down to the main gist of it would be pretty nice by itself, as well as being able to have a pretty steady amount of money in the bank, and also having the financial stability that comes along with revenue in the bank as well, which I always feel like is something very important and a lot more things that we should be focusing on when it comes down to it, especially if you're a young person. Being able to set yourself up for success is very important, especially at an early age, and it allows you to be more successful in life than you might have been if you didn't do those methods. And that's definitely something that I'm trying to do as myself, and I hope that you guys will press on with it as well if you guys are somebody in that position or you're desiring that kind of stability when it comes down to your early years. But anyway guys, that has been this episode of Would You Rather. Of course, if you guys would like to answer the questions in the comments below, I would appreciate it, of course. And when it comes down to it, as well as you guys can always recommend questions for future episodes, considering that I always take your guys' questions as priority one, and then fill the rest with some funny or creative ideas that come along time. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you next time. This is NMO, and I'm going to be signing out guys. Peace.